Science is the poetry of reality. The science of today is the technology of tomorrow. Good morning, all. On behalf of Department of Zoology and Research Center, we cordially welcome the Principal, Lady Doe College, respected dignitaries, all the teachers and student friends to the national level virtual training on DNA barcoding. Now, I request Dr. Priyadarshini Rajendran, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Zoology, Lady Doe College, to welcome the gathering and to introduce the speaker for the inaugural session.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Zoology, Lady Doe College, I deem it an honor and privilege to welcome you all for this two-day virtual training program on DNA barcoding. First of all, I welcome our dear principal, Dr. Christiana Singh, for her presence and for her constant support in all our endeavors. I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Shenbag Radhe, Associate Professor of Zoology and former Head of the Department of Biotechnology, who is here with us on this day to give the inaugural address. I also welcome all the participants from various institutions from all over India and our dear students and research scholars for responding to our invitation to participate in this virtual training program. I also welcome all the faculty members, the resource persons, and all the special invitees of this program. I also consider it an honor to welcome Dr. Shantanu Kunde and Dr. Reginald Victor, who accepted our invitation to be the resource persons for and address the gathering on the 2 days. So I welcome each and every one of you on behalf of the department, and I hope and wish that these 2 days will be a fruitful one for each and every one of you. I'm also very happy to introduce the speaker of this day, Dr. Shenbag Radhe. She was the Associate Professor in the Department of Zoology and the Head of the Department of Biotechnology at Lady Doe College. She served at Lady Doe College for 27 years. After her PhD from MKU, she joined the Department of Zoology in 1990. And during her tenure at Lady Doe College, she has produced more than 13 PhDs, and a few of them are still in line. And she had completed major research projects and 9 major research projects and 10 minor research projects funded by UGC, DST, DBT, CSAR, and SERV. And she has to her credit 52 publications, 72 paper presentations, 43 sequence submissions, and 10 PDB IDs have been obtained during her research. And she was instrumental in building up the Bioinformatics Center at Lady Doe College, the National Bioinformatics Facility. And we were also very fortunate to have her in the Department of Zoology because she was instrumental in bringing a number of projects and a number of research grants to the department based on which we are growing up now. And she was also given a Lifetime Achievement Award by the management of Lady Doe College in recognition of her contribution to research to the department and to the college. So I'm very happy that she could be with us today, and she is the right person to inaugurate this program on DNA barcoding. So welcome you once again, ma'am.
Now, I would like to welcome Dr. R. Shinbagarade, former Associate Professor, Department of Zoology, and former Coordinator, Department of Biotechnology, Lady Doak College, to deliver the inaugural address.
One and all present here. It is my pleasure always to be the part of Lady Doak College community. I would like to take this opportunity to thank and appreciate the marathon and marvelous work of the architecture and founder, Miss Katie Wilcox, and her successor, and those who had worked and working now for the upliftment of the college. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Christina Singh, the principal and secretary of the esteemed college, and Dr. Priyadarshini, associate professor and head of the zoology department, and my sincere thanks to Jessie for the meaningful prayer that indicate the technology. Without the technology, it is not possible to have the virtual seminar. So I just want to thank each and everyone who has lived before in the universe. With all the gifts they had given us, we are now here to host this seminar. So above all, I thank the Creator who had given this wonderful single home, the sweet home, the paradise. So the people, everyone, every living organism from macroscopic level to microscopic bacteria, we are all dwelling in this nice place. So what is common? Is it only dwelling? Are only sharing these common properties? Not at all. The unity in diversity is an example for our life. See, we could say that every living organisms are made up of the atomic particles. In physics, nowadays, they have found out this Higgs boson. That is the God's particle. They are claiming it. The biology is claiming its DNA is the God's particle. So we are just with our small intelligence, we are claiming that it belongs to us, but it's not belong to everyone. It belongs to the Lord, the Creator of the universe. But we are just with our little knowledge able to understand this phenomenon. So let us first look into, before going to the wonderful magic, you could say that molecule. Nowadays we are talking about the DNA barcoding, and that concept has come from 2003. But before that, what has happened? What are the discovery that helps us to be in this level? Okay, so it is, we could say, silver bullet. So I just want to highlight the bird's eye view of the silver bullet, the magic molecule. So the earth, where are we? So the all living organisms that are together called as biosphere, and the Panchabhuta that control the whole lot. Conveniently, we have classified into atmosphere, lithosphere, cryosphere, hydrosphere. All together, it's called as geosphere. All spheres have living organisms on their level. There are millions of living organisms. And what we have identified is only little bit. 20% on Earth and 10% of the ocean, the animals which are living in the oceans. So I just want to highlight here how the same composition of the abiotic matter is the composition of the living organisms. 75% of water, we are talking about the world has. What our body has, that's 75% of water. And we are made up of the elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen. So what? Every living organisms are made up of the same structural organization and architecture. Then what is the variation? So everybody is made up of the same element. But if you look into every living creatures, you could see the variety. Where the variety comes, the variety, who is the controller of the variety? Who is the creator of the variety? There are so many questions that taunt everyone who has lived, who is living nowadays. Next. I just want to give a brief highlight and some of the words which we could understand before going to the concept. So, a view of life. We are talking about the biosphere. What is biosphere? This is the region of the Earth's crust, water, atmosphere, inhabited by living organism. And this contains the ecosystem. What is a community plus the physical environment? Or other ways, I could be called in reverse. Everything is made up of the smallest particle, and that is atoms. That's hydrogen and oxygen, and that will combine together to form two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of water that give rise to water. Sorry, two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of oxygen that form water. The water is the base, is the media of the life. That is, without water, it is not possible to lead the perfect life. Then, we could say that how the water became the great molecule to facilitate many of the wonderful reactions. So, they combine, we could say the molecule became a organelle, the organelle became the cell we could say that it is connected together to form tissue, and here it will be represent the skeletal tissue. We could say the bone marrow, it is made up of bone marrow cells, and then the organ system, we could say the skeletal. This is very important to give the shape of the body, because we are when we identify certain animals, we just first look into the morphological variation, the complexity. So the shape, size, color, and whatnot. So when you just look into that, the skeletal of the molecule and the skeleton, this is the one it will be gives shape and form to the every living organism. And then the organ system comprises together to form the individual. The individual is not one, it will be, there are so many individual human beings, we could say there are many people, and we are come under the category of population. And the population, when you say that the organism of the same species in particular area, that we call as population, and the interacting populations. So we are not independent. We are dependent in many ways with other species, the physical environment that is called as community. Sorry, we are interacting with other species that we call as community. Those population interacting with the other species, so they all comprises of community. And then the community in turn depend on the physical environment, with the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, the lithosphere, and what. So we could say these contain, that comprises together called as ecosystem. So the next slide, I just want to highlight the next slide. There are level of organization, because everything should work together from the atomic level to the organism level. So what are the atom, when you say about, we could say carbon, hydrogen, oxygen that are present in every organism and also in the earth. We could say molecular level, the atoms combines to form a molecule which can give entirely different properties. See, the atom property is different, and when it is combined with other one, then you could say molecule, that properties will be different. So we could say we are all made up of water, carbohydrates, lipids, protein, like that we can goes on giving the list. And then at cellular level, see these organelles, we could say that this molecule that form kind of cell. We could come from the prokaryote to the eukaryotic. Prokaryotic is a single cell organism that contain all this, but there is no tissue, there is no organ system. But the organelles plays an important role. They are the source of energy. They are instructing as well as controlling, and it will be coordinating with everything. So the wonderful molecule, okay. Then we could say that the tissue, organ, and organ system, and organism, the whole human being. So, what are the characteristics of the life? So, when we say we are living organism, even though we are made up of non-living particles, but we are called we are living. Then, what are the quality? What are the characters that define the living organism? So that means it will be, we can able, one has to grow. A living organism, that is the characteristic feature, it's a growth. The plant, fungi, we could say human, the animals, we can grow over the, and then the movement in the case of animals. But in the case of plants, there are different movement, but it is not from one place to another place. There is a movement, but it's not entirely we are moving from one place, walking and all, not like that. And then we could say that we should reproduce. We should know how to trap energy and convert or proceed our life, transfer the energy. And then we could say the evolution, adaptation, balancing the everything. So we could say that how, if you are called in different name and it will be the universal, then there is no chaos and confusion. That classification is coming. So that we could say the identification is important, the naming is important, the classification is important. So the people who have lived before, there are many scientists, they devoted their life to define these. So the first I just want to say the father of taxonomy, the Carolus Linnaeus, and he has classified, he had given the binomial nomenclature of organism and as a plants and animal. But he had also given one thing, it's a stone that will be a abiotic vector. That's why we now conveniently classified into geosphere and biosphere. So under the biosphere, the plants and animal, the two. So that time they just have looked into the morphological features. In what way it is different, whether it is height, the way we could say the color, the pattern. So the pattern is more important. And the mathematical, we could say the trait, the eye structure, no, there are short features, there are Mendelian characters are there. Later on they have evolved after the classified genetics, the father of the genetics, the Mendel, Gregor John Mendel. So now we could say the next person, it will be the Janus Kekele, okay. He too have classified, we could say plants, animal and plant. So these people have the enormous skill, that is drawing and painting all the animals, what they have seen in the environment. That's the skill. They have published so many papers, the books, but I am not going to go into the deep, in-depth, but people who are interested, please go and read their history, okay. The next one, we could say that the system of classification is evolved over the period of 1735 to till now. So, who are the people that started with Carl Linnaeus, then Janus Kekele, the three kingdom concept, then with Scotland, the four kingdom concept, then five kingdom concept by Whittaker, and then sixth kingdom concept by Woos et al. In 1977. They have included one after another, and Woos classified that this sixth kingdom into three domains. Okay, so the first domains like eubacteria and archaebacteria. The second domain is Protista, include eukaryotic, unicellular, and multicellular, and then Plantae, multicellular eukaryote, Animalia, the multicellular eukaryotic, Fungi, the multicellular eukaryotic. Next. So we all have the common ancestor. Zoologists, we just say how we are classified the animals based on cellular level, tissue level, and further, if there is any body cavity or not, there is body cavity that's called acoelom or coelomate. Then we could say the notochord, the presence of the spinal system, whether there is a no notochord or notochord. Then we could say that how the vertebrate and protocordata, and then we could say the fishes, amphibians, this all come under the vertebrata, reptilia, aves, mammals. I just want to highlight, we have to now differentiate these two things. People often making use of nomenclature and classification. So what is nomenclature? This is the formal system of naming organism with a name composed of two parts, both of which that mainly use Latin grammatical forms. And this involves naming the organism, and the genus and species of an organism are used to form its scientific name. But in the case of classification, it is the process by which scientists organize living organisms in the hierarchical series of group and subgroups in terms of their similarities and dissimilarities. It involves organizing organism in hierarchical series of groups. And there are 7 taxonomic ranks: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Next. So who are all the people? They have devoted, they have enjoyed this sweet home, and they also discovered many, and these discovery laid foundation for DNA barcoding. Without that, it is not possible. So I just want to recall all the scientists from Leeuwenhoek, the handmade lens we has used, and we observed about the oral microbiota, and Robert Koch, they have postulated. Then we could say that about the development of the staining techniques, crayon stain. There are many staining techniques, symbols, differential, so Pacific, and by different authors. And then we could say there are ecological experimentation by Vinokratsy. And here, even 1977 itself, there is a kind of revolution in the advancement in technology that helps the colute. Before that, I just want to say about the DNA as the genetic material information molecule, that is Wycliffe experiment and confirmed by Kersey and Kersey-Chase experiment. Later on, deciphering genetic code, the father of the genetics, Cracker Johann Mendel, he classified the we could say that inheritance, the pattern of inheritance, whether it is a dominant, recessive, codominant, like that. Then the Carl Woos, even that time, and DNA deciphered, the structure of the DNA is deciphered by the scientists, the physicist, Crick and Francis Crick, and the biologist Watson. And there are 2 more people, Maurice Wilkin and Rosalind Franklin. And Rosalind Franklin's the basic picture, that X-ray diffraction. That is an advancement in technology in that level itself. So we could say the X-ray diffraction that was made by the Rosalind Franklin helps these people to decipher the genetic code. And everywhere there is politics. I don't want to do that, but I just say there are people. These people are highlighted. They came in the limelight, but there are people. They are under. They are not under the limelight. They were hidden by many. So I just remember all these people who have involved in these findings, and then we could say the Fred Sanger sequencing. Okay, and then PCR evolution, replication, transcription, molecular biology, all these things will happen. Then people talk about the genomics, proteomics, because about the sequencing that will be a advanced level, first generation sequencing, second level, third level, fourth level, like that it goes on. Now we could say about mini the mini-ons, the small kids, they are seeing it. It's ion, that is the portable real-time device for the DNA and RNA sequencing. And there are many, by PAC biosequencer, ABO based, there are many sequencing technology, the high throughput technology that revolutionized the entire field, and that will help us to find out the nuclear. The molecular signature that will be used in terms of the Carl Wood time itself, but the Nanny, that is the person who bring the concept. Okay. So this is again, we could say that the Human Genome Project comes, Human Mitochondrial Project comes, then we could say the Microbiome Project, like that. There are many. These are some of the sequencer that has been used, that is 454 GST, the Illumina, my Microbiome Project, that is NICE and Nanospore, and we even say APS, PacBio, HTS, all these things come under the limelight. Next one. So now we will talk about the DNA barcoding, but where is the DNA barcoding, where it is, and how? The cell is the structural and functional unit of the organism. See, I have said in the beginning itself, there will be unity in diversity. There are many common features among us, among the living organism. The cell is the basic, it starts with the cell. The cell is the basic structural and functional unit. This is about the plant cell, this is about animal, this is about the bacterial, the single cell that is doing all the work. And here in the multicellular organism, it's very complex, but you could see that there will be a plasma membrane, there are some kind of compartmentalization, the endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, and you could say there are centriole for the cell divisions, and there are mitochondria, and this is the nucleus. And then you could see this is the chromosome in the nucleolus. So how wonderfully it was placed. It's a safe. How? Being an Hindu, I always remember it's like a temple. That the sanctum sancta, the God is in the middle. Like everywhere there will be prakaram, veli prakaram, uli prakaram, all that it will be there. So like that here too, I always appreciate connect in that way, but it need not to be the same. People, the different people have different perspective because it's a diverse. So I just want to highlight how I perceiving, nothing else. Okay, but it's not the way. So we could say that here only this is that, the wonderful molecule, this living. We could say instruction manual. You have released an instruction manual, and that manual have so many things. Do this, do that. This is the way it's a guide. Okay. But how this instruction manual, that is the DNA molecule, is there, and how wonderfully it is doing its work, assigned work. The next one. So I just want to give some more view to you people, because everybody knows, but I am just bringing. I just ask you to recall. That's the thing. Everybody has studied. Okay, but only thing you first recall, appreciate, then only we can enjoy our life and we can discover many new things. So the level 1, the level 4, it's the cells and organelle. Level 3, we could say it's a supramolecular complex, the chromosome. the plasma membrane, the cell wall, the protective wall. Level 2, the macromolecule level, DNA, protein, cellulose, the carbohydrates. And we could say the DNA is made up of the nucleotides. Okay. And the protein is made up of amino acids. And the cellulose is made up of sugar. But there is a combination of the molecule, nucleotide, amino acids, and we could say the nucleotide is the combination of amino acids and the polymer, I could say. How? We could say this is an amino acid. That is adenine, guanine, cytosine, whatever it is. Okay, thymine. But here, this is the ribose molecule. We could say it's a penta sugar, and that is a phosphate chain. And in the deoxyribose, we could say in the DNA, the ribose here, the second atom, what I am saying here, it is deoxygenated. In the case of RNA, this has OH. Only one O, that makes the difference. So you all know the genetic molecule may be either DNA and RNA. In most of the cases, it's a DNA. In a primitive form, it is an RNA, and that has been evolved. But it's why I just want to highlight this. There is the only one oxygen is removed from the second position of the ribose molecule. That makes the DNA stable. The presence of O that makes RNA highly versatile. Okay, reactive form. That's why nowadays we are all undergoing that suffering, that RNA virus, that COVID, how it will be keep on changing its form and the properties. That's why we are facing all that thing because of the one O that is present in this. Okay. So if you just look here, it is an information molecule and it's a double helix. People say it's a double helix. DNA is a double helix. You have all studied that the characteristic feature of the double helix. It's contained two nucleotides. It entwined to form a ladder-like structure. That is minor groove, major groove, and you could say about the diameter, the codon. This will be read. The language. Another thing I just want to say, every living organism has the 4-letter alphabet, that is ATGC. We have so many languages are among us, but that all living organisms are having the alphabet only 4. The 4-letter, either it is ATGC or AUGC, rules the entire world. Okay, so we could say that, I think, how much time? That I have to have time.
9:50.
Okay.
Another 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay. So when you just see that the double, you couldn't see any double helical structure. The double helical structure is here. Can you see here? Okay, somewhere. And how its diameter is 2 nanometer. The length is every chromosome contains something about 10 to the power of 7 to 10 to the power of 9 nanometer thickness DNA molecule, and the DNA molecule is deciphered with the 4-letter. The DNA molecule has 4-letter word ATGC, and this will be read the word or nucleotide, the codon that has 3-letter word. So these are all the previous findings that have been. There are many people, they have deciphered the genetic code, and that will how it will be translated into peptide, protein, so on, so forth. So I just want to say this wonderful, it's a dynamic and flexible molecule. We are just concentrating that again, that God's wonderful magic molecule, that is, we could say that it's a DNA, and the DNA that is very dynamic and very flexible, and the structure, it's what is the canonical double helical form. Okay, it's condensed to form a chromatin. Is the reason. And there are two phenomena, there is two processes. It's very, very important how this will be condensed and to be within the nucleus. And during the instruction that is given when we are dictating the molecule to do all that. See, we are listening, we are writing, we are doing many things when even now. So all these are based on the instruction given by the small DNA molecule, and this we could call transcription and translation, and the DNA itself replicate and form it passes this information to the next generation, that is through DNA replication, the growth. And it's also received the signal from the environment. According to the environment, it is coding the important protein or carbohydrate or whatever it is that is necessary for maintaining or sustaining the life. So there are many wonderful processes going on. So the condensation, when you say that there is a deviation from the DNA helical form and deviation from the torsional transformation, here it has taken place during that will facilitate the two main process that is called transcription and replications. Okay, so there are DNA modification, histone chaperone, histone modifier, histone reader, remodeling factors. See, if you look into each and every process, there are quite a number of new molecules. Next one. So can you see here the double, this is this is the chromosome. Okay, how it looks. It's very short. You cannot see this helix. But within this condensed form, how it is possible, deviated from this form, and it is possible to execute its function, adaptability, adjustability, and whatnot, coordination, cooperation, everything we can learn from the single molecule. And the differentiation, that is to the methylation and acetylation, even that it needs some proteins that to modify all that. So there are many non-coding RNA that are also taking part instead of coding RNA, the messenger RNA, and other RNA, the ribosomal and tRNA, mRNA, miRNA, you could say that snRNA, scRNA, and like that nowadays there are many. So the histones plays an important role, and how this histone molecule make packed, and you could say the solenoid form of a condensed model of the replications. But here you could say the heterochromatin, which is inactive, but the active form is euchromatin, the active form. So this is, I am just putting these pictures to understand the 3D view of the DNA molecule and its function. You could say the histone, how this DNA looks like, and how the histone H1, H2A, H2B, H3, H4 plays an important role in, and it's facilitating the packaging and how it's packed into in a portable form. So how the DNA looks like, how the what is codestone, what are the linker crystalline. So there are theory. So there are many. Each and everything that is became their one discoverer, the scientist who has dedicated his life. Next. And again, see how this will be condensed, how the nucleosome arranged in the heterochromatin, and how in the active form it will be relaxed. That will be this is what I could say, the transformation. What's a torsional transformation? Opening of the nucleosome and to execute the function. Okay. I hope it's clear. You may understand, recall whatever you have studied. I think PG students come under this category, but UG, I don't know whether you could know this this level, molecular level. But anyway, these are the right. There are, if there is any mistake, there are right to edit it, and if there is there are erasers to remove it, and then edition. So everything we have to learn from our DNA molecule, the wonderful magic molecule. Next. So again, because I am giving, always appreciate the intricacy, the complexity of the life. That's why I just given the same picture in a different form, the different view, and you please remember how it will be. So here, this is, we could say, I just want to highlight why, because a biologist, nowadays it's not only biologists, but we could say we should understand, we should not hate physics, chemistry, and mathematics to appreciate the nature. So we have to integrate this, but we cannot learn everything because everything is like oceanic. Okay, we can appreciate these people. Okay, in other words, or we have to work together to bring things. Next. And this is about, so far I have highlighted about the DNA molecule. Okay. The next thing I just want to say briefly, say how we are integrating the findings of the others and what that will make, and who are the people that will be responsible. Even the principal in his talk, he has highlighted the one person who has discovered this barcode that business people, okay, Norman Joseph Woodland and Bernard Silver. These are the two people in the US worked together to, in 1948, they have worked together and filed a patent, US patent, and then they got patent in 1951. Okay. From this, that will be like 1D barcoding based on the Morse barcode. We could say then matrix code, like that it comes. Till that level, you could say 3D. Even if now you people are understand who are having Android phone and how you are transferring money, the Paytm. You just look into the one thing, that 3D structure of matrix. Okay, next. So people, this is the evolved pattern of barcoding. Okay, you could say so many things in your product, what you purchase and transferring. So the technology grow at such a level. Next. This is for different code, 2D code. Maybe the 3D code will be emerged later. Next. So now, that is business people, they have developed barcode. In that period itself, we could say that we have confirmed, we discovered DNA as a genetic material. 1953, Watson and Crick received the Nobel Prize and so on and so forth. Okay, there will be a parallel growth always. I always tell there is a parallel growth. Okay, so when you just see that, the man, Paul Kibet, the scientific director and board chair of International Barcode of Life (IBOL). In the forthcoming lecture, you will heard about more on the people. And this is, I just being a woman scientist, I always admire the woman who has worked for that, Elizabeth Marma. And these the executive secretary and convention in biological diversity. These are the people, they are conducting so many programs, and they have released a technical manual too in 2020. And before, I'll show you that later, but this Paul Kubert, he has published the paper in the Royal Society published proceedings, the biological identification through DNA barcode. Even though the magic molecule, the molecular signature, that was the Carl Woese, he has identified, classified, established, classified the prokaryotes based on the 16S ribosomal RNA. Prokaryote, we could say the unicellular eukaryotes by 18S ribosomal RNA. But there are ITS, internal transcriptase, and so on and so forth. But this person has highlighted about a gene sequence that is very little length, 648 or to 652 base pair, and this is present in the mitochondria. Go to the cells. And so you could say the most 98% of the DNA is in nuclear, and that genome is called nuclear genome or nuclear DNA. And these organelles, you might have studied in the evolution, there are theories, symbiotic. We could say the organelle mitochondria. In the case of the plant, mitochondria is not using for barcoding because there is no such significant nucleotide, but here they are using plastic DNA, the chloroplast. Okay, in the fungus, they are using COI as well as ITS. Okay, so next. They just have say that previously we are talking about the extra chromosomal inheritance like that. So here we could say the barcode that is in the mitochondrial DNA, and that will be functioning the oxidative phosphorylation. It's helped this enzyme, cytochrome C oxidase. People find out a sequence specific to 5' subunit of this cytochrome C oxidase, they call COI. Next. So this is what you people, if you want to go, I just have taken things from these people, this manual too. March 2021, they have published this CPD technical series number 94. Okay, so the global taxonomy initiative taken by the group, environmental program, we could say the Carnegie Background Society, GTI, all these people, CP, they are involved in that. Okay, next. They identify the countries, the map of the countries participating in this GTA DNA technique. The home nation participate online and hands-on training indicated by blue and green, and the purple, we could say that these 10 countries hosted the hands-on training events. Okay, next. So those who are interested, please go and see that. The next thing, it will be why. The animal cells, we have mitochondria. The mitochondria, this is the mitochondrial genome. We are taking only about 648 genome, it's of 5' subunit of COI. Okay, so this is species specific. This is used to identify the organism at species level, and also I just discovered the new species. Okay, and in the case of the plant, people are using the maturase enzyme K, and then it is ribulose biphosphate, pyrophosphate. We could say RBCL. And here you could say that the baser molecule ITS, nuclear, the ribosomal RNA. Okay, so these are the some molecule that was identified previously as a forwarding region. So I just want to say that nucleotide signature, the COI is not only the useful barcode marker. The chloroplast and nuclear gene represent the barcode marker for plant species identification. The ribosomal ITS for fungi, these are the people who are behind that. Okay, and in the COI gene, they just have developed some kind of primer. You know, PCR that is plays an important role in amplification of the molecule. And why mitochondria? There are reasons. Why chloroplast? There are reasons. But you might have, there are many things to be yet to be find out. And 18S RNA, 28S ribosomal DNA and ITS for protists, 16S ribosomal DNA for bacteria and archaebacteria. Okay. And these are the barcoding gene. And we even in our research, we have used prokaryotic classification, the ribosomal RNA, as well as the RPOT, the DNA-directed RNA polymerase subunit. So these are the some of the genes that has been used for the advanced level identification of the organism. And this is also, this is because we know that, but we need the primer to read out the particular sequences. And you might have studied in PCR, the DNA replication, what will happen, the transcription, what will happen. This is the process that has been controlled. It is a very, you could say that's complex process by which we could say, in my MSc, I just have studied replication, contain initiation, elongation, termination, not much protein involved. But during my retirement, I could say there are many genes that plays a role. We could say that the initiosome, replisomes, like that, you could say there are a post-transcriptional modification, post-replicational modification, and so on and so forth. So there will be always, and this is then another thing, TRNHPSP. This is mainly. All these have the primer. The first primer that was this by Polymer primer. Okay, next one. So nowadays there are various genetic marker is locus for DNA barcoding in different groups of organisms, animal. These are the genes they are using it. Plants, there are 5 genes. In bacteria, these are smaller in length. This something about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we could say fungi, you could say some 6 protist classification. But the coil will be used in protist, and the bacteria, there is any, we could say that eukaryotic bacteria, and then we could say that it's animals, not in the case of plant. So everyone has to find out the specific sequence. Okay. So what are the major, just highlight the methodology. What are the first you could have sample collection. The sample from the species, any one organisms, or it is from the environmental sample. Based on that, we have classified as a barcoding in different types. Okay. And then we could say that the how to preserve and how to isolate the DNA. I think they have taught, they will bring you about all these things later. Fine. So you could say the DNA extraction, you just know the all these advanced high throughput technology is required to do that. Otherwise, it is not possible. So if this is cost effective, you could say that amplification, cleaning, and bioinformatic analysis. So you have to combine the wet lab and the dry lab to identify the specific organisms. Right? So this is from the aquatic system. This is another method. We could say sampling of organism, how we can extract. This is mini barcoding, we could say meta barcoding, we could say Kachar barcoding, we could say also ME barcoding. Okay, there are different things, depends on the way in which you are doing this. So next. Let us see the application of the DNA barcoding. I am not highlighting about that why we have chosen COI, why not. There are the thing, I think the speaker, they will highlight all that important things to you, but I just give only the overview. This is a very cost effective and robust approach, and the DNA barcoding has numerous applications in biodiversity, in agriculture and forestry, in human health, in monitoring the disease, the vector, mainly the pest, the vector, all these things, assessing and monitoring the vector-borne disease, and identifying the new species, and identify the alien species and how this has an impact on that. Next. The endangered species, to identify the environmental monitoring, the balance, and then the marketplace surveillance may be about the product authentications, whether it is adulterated, whether you could say the quality of the food, what you have used, seafood, meat, nutraceutical or non-food, pharmaceutical protein, industrial protein, fat, that will have been used. Next. So all aside from resolving these kind of taxonomic uncertainty, the DNA barcode can also address other research questions such as phylogenetic relationship between species or phylogeographic diversification within species. So these applications are sometimes confounded with DNA barcoding. It also causes ambiguity. So what are the limitations? The conceptual limitation, genetic limitation. What is that? The DNA barcoding is not designed to reconstruct phylogenetic relationship, although every barcode region carries some phylogenetic signal. Another thing, the DNA barcode may not provide enough resolution to distinguish recently diverged species. So most DNA barcode markers cannot resolve the case of mitochondria or plasmid introversion, including ongoing or past hybridization events. So the term, the heteroplasmy, that is the presence of two or more variants of the barcode region within an individual, that will impede the recovery of accurate sequences. That we are going to see that example, it's called NUMTS, N-U-M-T-S, N-U-P-T-S. What is NUMTS? Non-functional segment of organelle DNA often occur in the nuclear genome. And this is nuclear mitochondrial sequence, nuclear plastic sequences. So this can confound data interpretation if mistaken for the true barcode sequence. The third one is methodological limitation. We don't have we have to develop. These are the gray area people can concentrate more on that. The universal premise for DNA coding can fail to amplify the target region in certain group of organisms. Success in sequence recovery is reduced when DNA is degraded as with old mesenchymal tissue sample exposed to agent that degrade DNA. I think Sujata and Lodamedi, they will give about the technology, how you have to extract the sample. So you could say there are major things, it's an extraction, what are the advanced equipment you need from the PCR to the sequencer, and here how to extract the data, filtering, you could say the recapitulation, we could say that magnification, the trimming and polishing, all these things will come under, and we can see that the C, we could say that it is GIS mapping, community and composition and site comparison. Next one. So I just say these are the system that will be given. This is overview. Next, it is good. These are the application. I am not going into the detail, but I just leave it. How this will helpful to identify the butterfly. That's why, but that is Paul Herbert. They have utilized the butterfly and one, and even Manjunath and Mysore University. They are working on the hawk moth, and they have also published a paper in 2020. So if you want, you please go and all this. So whatever the application I have talked before, that will be the kind of here the protocol that will be used for this is genes, how to identify. Next one. This is also the tumor cancer biology, how they are make use of the barcoding, DNA barcoding. Next. This is about the taxonomic level of inquiry in different species. Mainly there will be when there this barcoding is used, when there is no morphological variation and physiological variations. And these are another thing with which so DNA barcoding, that will be of the different steps that will be involved in matching. So it is a continuous process that we can classify under 4 major category: species identification, species discovery, delineation of new species, characterization of the new species. So this is about eDNA metabarcoding for biomonitoring, how people are collecting samples from different habitat. Next one. Again, we could say identify the adult, whether the food is contaminated or not, we can establish through that, and also we can endorse the alien species. Next, we can also endorse how this has an impact on the ecosystem, and nowadays people are using this kind of nano sequencing one and as well as nano barcoding one. Next. So the application in summary, we could say we could compare it with the ancient system, the mesenchymal, and to establish the plant pollinator interaction, diet analysis, the quality control, how maybe the livestock maintenance, invasive species reduction, pollution, air quality monitoring. So this is what that DNA barcoding technology that will be helpful in many ways. The advances in the DNA for HRM, please go and see. Many barcoding, meta barcoding, ME, microfluidic barcoding. This is a new technology by using. We can pull many samples, represent the sample sizes more here. Next. And this is where there's the Bangalore people, the Mysore people, they go. So, sorry, this one we could say that hawk moth from the people and others from the different scientists who worked on that. And these are the database that will be helpful to do the bioinformatic and dry lab work. And I think that Mahalakshmi will give you the detail about that. Next one. This is the Dr. Manjunath who has worked on this butterfly, hawk butterfly. And you could see there is a revolution in the publication too. There is a tremendous number of exponential growth of publication in this case on DNA barcoding. Next one. And to sum up, we could say this DNA, the instructional, the versatile, the dynamic molecule, the guide, instruction manual that will dictate everyone and that will monitor, that will control the whole lot, and how people nowadays finding out harmonious life with the nature. So people 2050, they are aiming it in that way, how we can work together for the harmonious nature of the life. Next. So, the task of the excellent teacher is to stimulate apparently ordinary people to unusual effort. The tough problem is not in identifying the winner, it is in making winner out of ordinary people. So, our talks, this is related to the DNA barcoding, the call keepers. They just want this, mainly it's a call loose, that classification, and that scientist worked in the basic to the modern, and he has saying our task now is to resynthesis biology, put the organism back into the environment, connect it again to its evolutionary past, and let us feel that the complex flow that is organism, evolution, and environment united. The time has come for to enter the non-linear realm.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us a clear insight on various aspects of DNA and DNA barcoding.